Hi there, Chris from TotallyEV, and here we're doing a dedicated audio review of the Kia Niro EV. If you'd like a detailed review of the vehicle itself, do check it up on your pump banner, down the description below, or indeed in the pinned comments. Now, to kick off this video, we have to talk about its audio configuration, and this is quite intriguing because for the first time we've got a vehicle which will not actually be present for new customers. Let us explain. Now, on all trim levels you'll find a 6-speaker setup. However, for those people who ordered the Niro EV 4 at an earlier date, you will find the Harman Kardon audio system, and indeed that is exactly what we have present on our press vehicle. Now, due to supply chain issues, at least from what we've been told by Kia UK, the Harman Kardon audio system has been scrapped altogether in order for the manufacturer to continue with the deliveries. It must be that there is some sort of supply chain issue on Harman Kardon's side. But we can't quite say for sure if the Harman Kardon audio system will come back at a later date, and as a result we thought it might be useful to still do this audio review for those people who might have access to the Harman Kardon audio system and or are looking at, for example, a used Niro EV. Potentially in the future, of course. Now, here you have got an 8-speaker setup. You've got drivers found within the rear doors, you've got drivers found towards the front doors, including tweeters, and then you've also got a center speaker and a subwoofer in the boot. In the regular 6-speaker setup, you will not have a subwoofer nor a center speaker. Now, for you to tinker around with the audio settings, you'll want to navigate to the appropriate menu on the 10.25-inch display. Here you'll find a 3-band EQ, whereby we've raised the treble by 2 notches, raised the mid-range by 1 notch, and left the bass untouched. It is surprising that we do not have dedicated subwoofer controls. Aside from this, we have touched around with the radio noise control and left it in terms of original sound. Of course, the balance and fader has been left to center. Now, for you to connect up to the infotainment system, you have got Bluetooth, whereby the SBC and AAC codecs are supported only. If, however, you want higher quality playback, you want to plug in your phone, whereby Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are supported over a wide format only. So moving swiftly on, we get onto cabin noise, and here the numbers will be on your screen. What we'll say is at higher speeds, it is not as good as some of its more premium rivals. And unfortunately here, despite Kia trying to optimize the overall cabin noise by installing an acoustic film on the windscreen across all trim levels, there's still a little bit of road noise that can be heard creeping in from the tires when traversing on rougher terrain or of course at faster speeds. Now, with all of that in mind, let's get on to an audio demo, which we appreciate is not going to be ideal over YouTube, but nonetheless will give you a little bit of a taster. We'll be placing the camera and microphone in 4 separate locations and playing back a track which is from Priya J, which is titled Like Me. Now, hopefully you were able to attain a little bit of to how the system will perform, but let me get onto my subjective opinion. Now, first off, in terms of the sub-bass extension, it is certainly there, and that's thanks to the subwoofer which is planted in terms of the boot. It won't compete with more expensive offerings out there on the market, but given the overall price point of the Niro EV, even in terms of its top spec trim, it is actually still pretty impressive, and will leave a lot of people with a smile on their face. Equally, the mid-bass presence is certainly hearty and also pretty controlled, both at the front and at the rear of the cabin. Mid-bass tones come out really well, and we've got no complaints whatsoever in this department. Now, the same sort of praise couldn't be said about the overall mid-range, specifically the lower mids, which are pretty much pushed back. Now, you can adjust the EQ through the mid-range control on the infotainment system, but by doing so more than around 1 or 2 notches, you'll find a little bit of an inaccurate sort of reproduction. As a result, we only added 1 notch to the mid-range EQ in order not to tinker around too much with the overall accuracy of the system. We just have to accept that there's somewhat of a V-shaped sound signature. As for the top end extension, it is actually pretty well done at the front of the cabin thanks to the dedicated tweeters which are found towards the doors. However, the same couldn't be said at the rear, whereby the emission of those tweeters means that it does feel a little less lively and zingy at the top end. Now, aside from its competencies across the frequency range, what about when it comes to its soundstage reproduction? Well, it's actually pretty impressive at the front of the cabin. We're able to keep you engaged thanks to the multitude of audio drivers that you've got, including the center speaker. However, the same couldn't be quite said about the rear of the cabin, whereby you're limited to 2 audio drivers only, and as a result will give you a bit more of that unidirectional sound and less of that engaging sound that one might expect, like what you'd find on more premium audio offerings. Ultimately, what we're trying to portray over here is the Harman Kardon audio system in the Kia Niro EV is actually pretty impressive and will suffice for a lot of consumers wanting a little bit of that extra audio upgrade, specifically when it comes to soundstage and also in terms of the low-end department, thanks to the subwoofer in the boot. As a result, it gets our Approved Audio Award. Now, we'd be curious to know as to what you make of the Niro EV, and also if you are disappointed to learn that the Harman Kardon audio system has been scrapped altogether from the top spec level trim. Again, at the time of filming, and of course in the UK, this is very much the case. Do let us know down in the comment section below, and of course if you've liked this detailed independent review, definitely do drop a like, subscribe and hit that bell notification, all of which would be greatly appreciated. As such, I've been Chris from TotallyEV, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves, and goodbye.